Well, hello and welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir and I am a CICC licensed immigration consultant. And this channel is all about Canadian immigration news, updates, things you should do, things you definitely should not with your immigration application. Let's start with our presentation today. And starting with the quote of the week: if you don't like how things are, change it. You are not a tree, said Jim Rohn, who for me is an absolute idol in terms of who I follow for my motivation, for my inspiration. He's the guy who I go to. And if you still haven't followed him, I am not sure who you do and what you're looking and what you're waiting for, because that is one guy who, if you listen to, I can absolutely bet you that you will be more inspired, more motivated, and you will look forward to things in a totally different perspective. So again, talking about this particular quote: you don't like how things are, change it. Obviously, you're not a tree. You're not rooted to wherever you are. You have the flexibility of moving. You have the flexibility of changing things. And so do it. Don't get stuck where you are, because if you get stuck where you are, that's where you will be. You will be in that place. So don't be a tree. This is Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. Please do stay up to date with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Of course, we're also there for some reason on TikTok. So if that's your thing, do follow us there. Starting with the PNP draws update, Alberta has announced that they now have 650 applications in the expression of interest pool that they are processing, and they have approximately 1,100 applications in the queue for processing under the opportunity stream. And at this point of time, they are processing applications received before 27th of Feb. So that's a bit of an update to understand where Alberta is standing at this point of time. BC, our usual suspect, continued with their draws as they do every single week. They did invite 157 candidates who received invitations to apply. Of this, 138 were issued in the general draw with scores 76 to 123, depending on the pathway, which the scores are pretty high there. Imagine, for British Columbia, you need to secure a job offer. So if you don't have a job offer, you will not be able to apply in British Columbia. So even with a job offer in British Columbia, as you can see, the scores are at 123, which is quite high. But again, if you were one of the people in the targeted draw, and this is where a lot of things are coming back from, in the sense of a lot of provinces are paying attention to specific occupations. In this case, childhood educators, healthcare occupations, and of course, the other priority occupations under NOC 3114 and 3213. Scores were only 60, which is pretty good. Nova Scotia PNP update. Now, we know Nova Scotia has made some changes to its express entry stream, whereby they have said that people who have completed their education in a different province and then come to Nova Scotia and then sort of want to apply under the express entry stream, at this point of time, they will not be accepting those applications. What they basically want to do is only accept applications under the express entry stream from those people who have completed their education in Nova Scotia and from there on have received a job offer or have got their work experience in Nova Scotia. They are obviously trying to give more preference to people who are in Nova Scotia, have shown their roots, or rather have started establishing their roots in Nova Scotia, versus people who are just using Nova Scotia to get their nomination. What they have also been able to do is they have been able to get an increase in their quotas. So their last year's quota was 3,857, and this year it has increased to 5,430, which is pretty decent increase. And in this case, this is nearly 17% more. And also there is an increase of their spaces allotment in the Atlantic immigration program as well. So overall, Nova Scotia continues to invite more people, continues to sort of attract more people. And with this added quota increase, they would be obviously, so people who are still, deciding where they wish to sort of make home, or whether where they want to go and study, where they wish to sort of take up job offers, then obviously Nova Scotia seems to be a pretty good idea. In other news, Ontario has updated its vendor list for the review of personal net worth. Now, you'll be wondering what this is about. Well, this is about business immigration for people who are applying for business immigration. Now, a part of your requirement for business immigration is that you have to get your net worth assessed to show whether you do have net worth as per the requirements of the provincial nominee program. In this case, the list of the vendors who can give you the net worth certificate have been, so that has been updated with Grant Thornton, KPMG, and MNP now being included in that list. New Canadian immigration program is in the works, and yes, we have been talking about it because Sean Fraser came out in an article with the National Post and mentioned that. Then he came out with on a CBC radio interview, and also he mentioned that, and more so confirmed a lot of things. He did mention motion M44, and we're going to talk about this in a bit more detail if you would just allow me some time, because I have so much more to show you in terms of the details, especially with this Bill C19 and of course the backlog. So just get to this in a bit. Yes, so this new express entry, and there are also new express entry changes coming. I mean, for people who are still not aware and who are still not keeping in touch with what's going on, Canada will obviously resume express entry draws starting next month, which is the most awaited news as I can remember in the Canadian immigration history. I mean, I can't remember at any point of time where we have all with holding our breath and waiting for the day to come when the express entry draws can resume again, especially the federal skilled worker programs. So that is expected early July. Now, when we say early July, I'm hoping first week of July, because that is what the expected date would be. Let's say we are thinking probably 6th of July. 6th of July is something what I would be quite 6th or 13th. I would be thinking 6th of July would be that date. Let's see, fingers crossed, because that's a Wednesday. And Bill C19, for people who have been following my previous videos, and I've been talking a lot about Bill C19, and Bill C19 actually, which covers lots and lots of different sections of different, because these were the sections that were covered under the finance budget. There was a small section under Division 377 where immigration also is being discussed about. This is where Bill C19 talks about making changes to IRPA, Immigration Refugee Protection Act, so that the immigration minister has the authority to make categories so that they can pick and choose different kind of profiles from the express entry system regardless of the program. This will give them better flexibility. It makes the express entry more efficient as far as Canada is concerned, from the perspective of Canada and for Canada's requirements. A lot of people calling it fair, unfair. At this point of time, we don't even know what's going to happen. So calling it fair, unfair doesn't make any sense. At this point of time, we just need to wait till the details are announced and the categories are announced, and then we will know it. As far as Bill C19 is concerned, it absolutely looks like it's roaring forward. Second reading was also completed in the Senate, which is the upper house of the parliament in Canada. However, the majority, or rather the more important section of the parliament is the House of Commons, where it was already complete, where it has completed all its steps. So the next we are waiting for is the third reading, and from there on, once it is approved, then it will go for the royal assent. Can it happen within the next week or so? It is highly, highly possible that this can happen. And once that happens, I don't particularly expect the changes to be implemented immediately, because there are still lots of things to be done in the background, including changing the ministerial instructions, including identifying the categories, including making those changes within the express entry system so that they can pick and identify those profiles. And also, obviously, they owe that basic courtesy to people to at least tell them that these are the people who we would be looking to invite. Hopefully, I'm hoping that they have that basic courtesy. At least, communication, keep it simple, keep it clear, so at least people are not caught off guard again. But I expect more or less these changes may come into play probably towards the end of this year, later part of the year. Also, later part of the year, we are expecting the near tier system, the new NOC system, NOC 2021, to come into play. That would be approximately November. That's what they're targeting and aiming at. So it's quite possible that both these changes for Bill, which is coming out of Bill C19, and the NOC system changes basically come together at the same time. Quite possible. So again, fingers are crossed, but all of this at this point of time is only speculation, because we do not know the dates. Nobody has announced the dates. Nobody has identified the categories. They're only hoping and praying and sort of obviously speculating based on that. Obviously, Bill C19 will give IRCC the authority to invite express entry candidates into the pool based on economic goal, such as occupation, French language ability, educational credentials, etc., etc. Immigration backlogs are making news again because they have again soared up to 2.4 million people who are now stuck in the backlogs. I mean, Canada is making news for all the wrong reasons. IRCC is making news for all the wrong reasons. I'm not sure how many of you follow, I think it's Karan Chandok, who is a commentator for Formula One. And he had applied for his visa 6 months back, visit visa, after having visited Canada several times, having a Canadian child, having a Canadian wife. And he's been in and out of Canada several times. His visa expired. He applied for one 6 months back, still not approved, in spite of him being, having lots of people who were backing him up, and still could not get his visa on time and didn't make it. So just one of the guys who has obviously making news and bringing Canada up or rather pulling them up for this lapse. Again, Parliament is always bringing up this question again about backlogs. If you hear Sean Fraser now talking about these backlogs, it's like a broken record. He keeps repeating the same thing about pandemic and that the changes happened because of that time, and we have brought in new people, technology is being improved, but actually there is nothing there in the numbers that suggest anything is really happening. It's only suggesting that the numbers are going up and up and up with absolutely nothing that they can do to control these numbers. I will take you through the numbers. Obviously, we'll go through these backlog numbers in detail to show you where the numbers have gone up so that you can have a better perspective of things. But it's looking scary. And if we know anything as far as history is concerned with Canadian immigration, then it really suggests that IRCC, or rather Canada, is very quick to cancel old applications just to get ahead of, or rather just to sort of make sure that they can clear off the backlogs. Either they can cancel a lot of these applications, or they can refuse a lot of applications in bulk to sort of get over the whole backlog. That is what is being feared amongst a lot of applications. Not that they're not already doing it. They have been using Chinook as the it's not really the artificial intelligence who's making the decisions, but it's a Chinook system which is indicating to the visa officers based on the parameters which applications they should be refusing, and they have been refusing. We have been getting refusals for ridiculous reasons. Sometimes it says, please see the reasons below for which we have refused your application. And when you read below, there is nothing. It's blank, nothing there. So not really able to understand what exactly is going on there. So they're only getting a lot of flack. I'm not sure whether they're under pressure, but they should be under pressure. All these 500 new employees who are supposed to have been working, I'm not sure when they will get trained and being brought up to what's happening with IRCC. But at this point of time, it's a total chaos, total chaos. Yes, of course, do connect with us on social media platforms, as I said. And if you're still here, hit on that like button so we can get this video out to more people. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now that we're finished with the short presentation, let's start with the backlogs first, right? Because backlogs always makes for more interesting talk. What do we have for backlogs? The immigration backlogs now at 2.4 million people. Now, if you were following us on Instagram, then you obviously would have seen this post already in detail. But if you did not, then let's go through this again. Let me bring this here. Backlog inventory, that's the basic graph that shows you from July 6th, 2021, right up to June 16, 2022, where it was only at 1.4 million people 1 year back. It's now gone to 2.4 million people in 1 year later. So in this 1 year, while COVID has basically gone down, or rather the whole pandemic situation has come more in control, our backlogs have only gone up and up. And now from 1.4 million, we are sitting at 2.4 million people within a span of 1 year. The inventory by application and immigration category, the first one is economic, where it stands at 223,934. And numbers are, as I said, quite high. Temporary residence visas, the visit visa applications are sitting at 771. That's the brown graph at the bottom there. To give you the numbers, instead of giving you the graphs, PR applications as of May 2 was about 530,000. It has dropped a bit little bit. It has dropped a little bit. It is at 522,000 at this point of time. Temporary residence applications, on the other hand, the number of people in the backlog have gone up from 1.2 million to 1.4 million. 200,000 numbers increase there. And citizenship applications seems to be coming in a little bit controlled there. The numbers reducing from 399 to 324,000. Okay, then what do I have here? Again, inventory of permanent residence applications as of June 6th. That's the graph there again for different categories there. And if I was to take the application type for temporary residence, study permits itself has gone up. From April, it has gone from 132 to now 171,000 people in the express entry backlog pool. Extensions have also gone up, and then the temporary residence visa, as I just told you, sitting at 770,000 people. Let's talk about express entry, because that is where most people are quite interested. Canadian experience class. Now, that is one section. The express entry is where we are seeing the drop in numbers, thankfully, because if those numbers wouldn't have dropped, then the draws would not have been resumed. So these numbers continue to drop and hopefully will continue to drop. So you will keep getting your passport request. Canadian experience class from 7,522 has dropped down to 6,088. So about 1,500 applications processed over a period of a month and a half or something. And then federal skilled workers have dropped from 32,883 to 25,081. So about 7,000 of people who were in the federal skilled worker, they have managed to receive their PPRs finally, thankfully. Not much movement with the federal skilled trade program. 484 is now gone down to 434. Only 50 people getting relief with the federal skilled trade programs, and the total number reducing from 40,000 down to 31,603. Roughly 9,000 reduction in the number of, in the express entry pool, not the pool, express entry backlogs. So thankfully, something that we can really hope that this will continue as we move forward. So hopefully by the time the draws actually resume in July, they would have gotten rid of another 9,000-10,000 people in the pool, in the backlogs, bringing that number to 20,000, which is something much more achievable for IRCC to sort of get rid of in terms of the backlogs. So fingers crossed for that. So therefore, there you go. Express entry backlogs have decreased from 40,889 to 31,603. If you are interested in the categories, exact categories of this, as of right now, in June, Canadian experience class is sitting at 6,088. Caregivers, unfortunately, 24,193. That is the number of people who are still in the backlog. Big number there. And they haven't been very fluid in processing those applications in time. So big number. I'm not sure how long they will take. They have really been holding those caregiver applications back for some reason. But I hope that picks up pace. In the federal business, now the federal business is your self-employed and your startup visas. That still shows 4,877, which basically means 5 years of quota. Current processing times are ranging between 3 to 4 years. I hope that numbers can also be, that processing time can also be reduced. Federal skilled workers are now sitting at 25,000 approximately. So hopefully that number should further reduce. What else have I got? PNPs at 68,221. Now these include your non-express entry applicants as well. There have been lots of them, people who have been applying for the PNPs non-express entry. So a lot of you are there. And TR to PR is sitting at 49,447. For some reason, TR to PR has basically slowed down. In the beginning, start of the year, that was quite a fast processing for TR to PR applications. These are the people who have now received their AOR and are now waiting for further processing so that they can get your passport requests and off they go. Keep in mind, these are number of people, not number of applications. In terms of in terms of spousal sponsorship applications, or other number of people there, 67,929. So they have been reducing the backlogs there as well. But the processing times are being maintained at 12 months on an average, though the older applications which are still in the process, those could prospectively take a bit longer. But as Sean Fraser has been talking about in terms of the processing times, that they would try and get to these numbers sooner and make sure that they come to the processing standards by the end of this calendar year. Study permits, as I said, 173,353 is what the current backlog is as of June 6th, number of people. So that number is variable. I mean, that's understandable because more and more people apply for study permits, and there are three intakes each year, and these numbers will stay consistent at any point of time. So you will know that also contributes to the longer processing times. For example, SDS streams were supposed to be faster, but with these backlogs, they tend to sort of take longer. So right now they're taking about 3 to 4 months for processing SDS streams. So what was the result of all these? This basically meant more and more applications were going, or rather more and more people were resorting to mandamus, writ of mandamus, in terms of, which basically is an order given by the federal court to the government institution to make a decision on the application. It's like an order to sort of get something done. And these mandamus applications, we discussed mandamus application in detail in one of our past videos, where we discussed this with an immigration lawyer, Lev Abramovich, and we went into too much of details with the mandamus. So if you are still figuring out what is mandamus and is it something which you should consider, then please watch that video and it will give you more insight whether that is something that you should be looking at. But as you can see by the numbers there, the number of mandamus applications in 2021 and 2022 has gone up. I mean, really gone up. And if IRCC continues with these backlogs, we will only see more people resorting to the mandamus applications. Now, while we're talking about all this, now I'm just sharing this screenshot from one of my clients who we received the approval day before yesterday for his visit visa. He completed his biometrics, I think, on the 30th of May, or was it? Yeah, 30th of May or 31st of May. And we received the approval on the 16th of June. So the approval came within 16 days itself. So while we are talking about so much of backlog, so many people who are stuck with the processing, and the processing times are showing 4 months, 5 months, here we are getting an application getting processed in flat 16 days, which is pretty good. I know I was surprised. I know the client was surprised. We were not expecting the decision to come so fast, because at the same time, I also have applications which we submitted in November and December, and we haven't heard back from IRCC. No matter how many times we've raised web forms, we have sent emails to IRCC, and no response. And it's ridiculous. Sometimes you just do not know what exactly is going on, what they're paying attention to, what they're not paying attention to. Why are certain applications getting processed faster, and why are certain applications stuck for 6 months and still nothing happening over there? So yeah, that's the chaos with IRCC. And I have some more information there. I'm not sure how much of you are interested, but yes, a lot of data was taken from CTV News, from Canadian Press, and then also CIC News. A lot of data was taken from those websites, so you can obviously head over to them. Now, let's talk about the factor of the next more important one, and that was, is TR to PR coming back? Did I put my foot in my mouth when I said TR to PR will not come back? And I was, as I said, I was debunking this theory for a very long time. I still am. Okay, so let's just get that right out of the window. I know a lot of you have written to me and said, you claim TR to PR will not come back. Now it is coming back. You are wrong. Well, first of all, I have no problem being wrong. Okay, at the end of the day, you take data, you take information of what is available at that point of time, and based on that, you make certain statements, based on which I made the statement saying that TR to PR will not come back. I am still saying, as of right now, 18th of June at 10:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that TR to PR will not come back. It is not going to come back, because people do not understand the context of what was TR to PR, what is being said then, or rather what was said then and what is being said now. TR to PR was a once in a one-time program that IRCC had to make, or rather create, in order to meet its immigration targets for 2021. It was a desperate move. It was done under the, it was like an emergency kind of a situation, where in 2020 they were unable to achieve their immigration targets. In 2021 they had to make some drastic changes. They did CEC specific draw. They did the draw of 27,000 people on the 13th of February, and then they came with the TR to PR program. TR to PR program, when they came in the year of 2021, that was primarily done for two reasons. One, because obviously elections was on their mind as well, and they wanted to sort of show that they are doing something for people who are inside Canada. They're doing something for people who have been contributing in terms of what is happening during pandemic, and also to meet their immigration target, which was a big deal for them. All right, so they did what they had to do as far as TR to PR program is concerned. They didn't even have the numbers within the immigration quotas to meet those targets. That obviously, as you have by now already know, that TR to PR program has directly impacted the express entry quotas for this year and for the next year. You know that. I mean, that we've already discussed last year. I mean, we've already discussed when the immigration plans were announced. 90,000 applications of TR to PR has to now be accommodated within the express entry federal high skilled numbers, because that's where are they going to get the numbers from. So this year's targets for federal high skill, which is express entry, has been reduced from 110,000 to 55,000, 50% gone, just to accommodate those TR to PR. So if they have to come back with another TR to PR, where is the place, where is the quota available within the immigration levels plan for this year or the next year to accommodate that? Are they going to completely wipe out express entry? I mean, is that what is being indicated? Because there is no space. They already have TR to PR applications from last year, which they haven't processed. Where are they going to accommodate this new TR to PR program? That is something which people need to think when they think that TR to PR will come back. I understand that a lot of people are trying to feed onto your anxiety and feed onto your fear and your desperation and your frustration by trying to sell you the concept of TR to PR. Heck, I know there are some consultants out there who are even accepting applications for TR to PR. It has not even been announced. It has not even been published. Nobody knows what it's going to be like. And people are already accepting applications or registrations. Ridiculous, right? But let's understand. Let's get the context right. So what has Sean Fraser done now? So before Sean Fraser, let's go back even further back. There was motion M44, which again I said I was debunking it, because motion M44 was a private member's opinion motion. Now I also explained to you that private members' opinion motion does not necessarily have to be adopted by the government. Does not necessarily have to be adopted by the government. It was approved in the House of Commons. Randeep Sarai was the member of parliament who proposed it or tabled it, and it got its approval and it was approved. So let's take a look at that. All right. There you go. That was motion M44, and you can obviously Google it. You will find the text. What I have done for you here is I have just sort of tried to highlight the areas which are specifically that you should be reading about. It says that what IRCC should do is that it should amend the eligibility criteria under the economic immigration programs so that you can give more weight to in Canada work experience and expand the eligible occupations category and work experience at various skill levels. That's what it is saying, right? First thing it is saying, amend the eligibility criteria under the economic immigration programs to give more weight to in Canada work experience and basically expand the eligible occupations. Now you have to keep in mind what has happened here. To give you the reference to context, the new tier system is going to be coming in November. In the new tier system, IRCC has said that now the eligible criteria would be tier 3. By bringing eligibility criteria to tier 3, they have added 16 occupations who were earlier ineligible to be participating within the express entry. So they have made that change already. That change will come into play somewhere in November. By doing that, transport drivers, truck drivers, bus drivers, payroll assistants, dental assistants, and certain other categories in trade and healthcare are now part of express entry system. So that you have to put all these pieces together. I mean, a lot of people like to talk and like to sort of say things, but they're not thinking. You have to see the whole picture and see how the politics is being played, how things are being done, and why TR to PR is not going to come back. But this is much bigger, larger thing at play. So M44 is suggesting this. Tier system has already been put into place. Tier 3 is already being included in the express entry, and those categories that they're talking about were already being included. Now let's read further. It says, examining evidence and data gathered from recent programs. That's a no-brainer. Obviously, they will go through all the data that they have. And that's not very difficult for any government to sort of, apply. The third one is incorporating data on labor market and skills shortage to align policy on immigrant selection with persistent labor gaps. Now, hello, hi. This is what Bill C19 is all about. So if you have been following my previous videos about Bill C19 and the category related draws, then you would know that this is what it is talking about. Incorporating data on labor market and skills shortage to align policy on immigration selection. Read the English, guys. I mean, that's what it says. Bill C19 proposes exactly this. Bill C19 says that the immigration minister should have the authority to make categories within the express entry pool so that they can pick and choose categories based on the labor market needs, based on where the requirement is within inside Canada. There you go. That's motion M44 section, sort of part 3 covered already. Fourth one, assessing ways to increase geographic distribution of immigration and encourage immigrant retention in smaller communities as well to increase Francophone immigration. Hello again, Bill C19. When they will be making these categories, it is basically economic based. It is occupation based. It is based on where you wish to reside in Canada. It can be based on your second language skills or language skills. Are you Francophone? Are you Anglophone? Based on that. Again, Bill C19 takes care of that. Then you have identifying mechanisms for ensuring flexibility in immigration selection tools to react quicker to changes. Hello, again, Bill C19. It is giving you the tools to react to the immigration changes as and how you need it. And finally, let me just get my face out of the picture there. Significantly considering occupations and essential sectors that are underrepresented in current economic immigration programs, such as health services, caregivers, agriculture, manufacturing, service industries, trade, and transportation. Again, the new tier system pretty much covers a lot of these categories. So between the new tier system and between the new Bill C19 amendments and changes, this motion M44 already incorporates all of those, so the new amendments and changes already incorporates all the suggestions that are being suggested by M44. But people don't want to understand that, right? They just want to sort of hang on to the fact motion M44 is coming, new TR to PR is coming, new TR. There is no new TR to PR, but let's get into more details with this. Yes, Sean Fraser has recently done a radio interview where he said that he is working on a new pathway. Okay, he's working on a new pathway whereby temporary workers in Canada will be given a permanent solution to become permanent residents. It's not a temporary program. It's not a program which will be just created once out of the blues just to meet with a emergency situation or a pandemic like situation. It is going to be a permanent program so that people, before they even come to Canada, they know that if I become an international student, I study for this period of time, I work in these sectors, I will have a pathway to become a permanent resident. This is also being included in their mandate letter. IRCC, or rather, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, in January this year, when he issued the mandate letter to Sean Fraser, the Immigration Minister, he clearly said one of the requirements in the mandate letter was that Sean Fraser should look to expand pathways or to create new pathways in express entry so that more advantage could be given to the in-Canada people, as in international students and foreign workers. Okay, that was already there in the mandate letter. Again, there is no such thing as TR to PR coming back. All these changes which you have been hearing about, they were already part of the bigger plan that they are working on. But obviously, as Sean Fraser said, that he is now looking to incorporate these changes and making a permanent pathway. People are terming this as the new TR to PR program. And hence, the thing that TR to PR will come back, TR to PR will come back. I am saying TR to PR is not coming back because the TR to PR program, the way it was last year, that has no chance of returning. On the contrary, yes, they are looking to create a new program, a new pathway, which will give a better route for temporary residents who are in Canada to become permanent residents. Will it have the same look like what it had last year? Of course not. Okay, but all these changes that are being proposed, that are being suggested, they all have been indicated through the previous mandate letter or the discussions, And they're already making these changes, whether it's through Bill C19 or the new tier system, NOC 2021, which is coming. But let's go through this listen anyways and understand what Sean Fraser has been saying. Now, this on the screen right now is the article which was shared earlier, and the link is in the description, so you don't have to worry about this. This one says, Immigration Minister says he's working on a faster pathway to permanence for temporary residents. Now, as I will scroll down on this one, and you all can do that, I've already bookmarked it to 15-16. That is the period of time where Sean Fraser talks about it. I'm going to allow you to let you listen to what he is saying so you can understand this better. Okay, here we go.
You mentioned the larger numbers of permanent residents being recognized. We spoke to a young student from India who got his permanent residency last week under the temporary residence program to the permanent resident program, the TR to PR program, as you refer to it. It doesn't exist anymore. Are you going to relaunch that?
So the TR to PR program, just so people understand where it's come from, was a response to a very specific change that had to be made during the pandemic, when the border was shut down to protect communities against the spread of COVID-19 across Canada. We pivoted our strategy to resettle people who were already in Canada on a temporary basis, so we could continue to reliably grow our population and add more permanent residents.
So why not continue it?
Well, it's a good question, actually, because we are looking right now at the best path forward to create a permanent pathway for temporary residents. This is actually one of my mandate letter commitments, and I want to give a particular thank you to my friend and colleague Randeep Sarai, the Member of Parliament from British Columbia, who's responsible for Motion 44, that actually puts me on a clock to come up with a framework to establish this new permanent residency pathway, not just for international students, also for temporary foreign workers. We're in the depths of planning the policy so we can have a policy that's not driven by a need to respond urgently in the face of an emergency, but actually to have a permanent pathway that provides a clearer path for those seeking permanent residency to enter Canada on a temporary basis.
So is that a yes then, that there will be another TR to PR program?
It won't be identical to the same policy that was in place on an emergency basis. There will be a permanent residency pathway for those people that I've described who are here on a temporary status.
Part of the lesson from the pandemic was that while we put a greater emphasis as a country on people who are highly skilled, that it turned out that some of the people we needed most were the people who worked as cashiers, for example, and personal support workers. So is there a way to address that inequity to ensure that there's an equal access or equal opportunity, if I can put it that way, for people who have those kinds of backgrounds as opposed to the highly skilled people we've been targeting?
Let me tell you, I absolutely hate the description of a low-skilled worker. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that a lot of the people that many have described as low-skilled workers are essential workers. They take care of our families, they keep food on the shelves, they keep the supply chains intact. I'm so thrilled because actually just this week, when the House of Commons passed the Bill C19, the Budget Implementation Act, one of the lower profile items that is part of that piece of legislation has a fundamental change to the way our express entry system operates in Canada. The express entry system takes people based on their human capital score, a series of factors like education, age, work experience, and other factors. The change will allow us to actually more specifically target the greatest needs in the economy on a regional basis and on a sector-by-sector basis. With this new flexibility, we'll be able to identify the greatest needs in the economy. And if I decide as the minister or my successors who will have this flexibility as well, make a decision to target healthcare workers in my home province of Nova Scotia, or construction workers in Ontario, or someone in another high-need profession in a different region of Canada, we'll for the first time be able to have a targeted draw on those sector-specific bases on a region-by-region basis.
One last question for you. Some of the concerns being raised about exceeding the targets, as you spoke about earlier, for immigration so far this year, is whether there are adequate supports for people to meet their needs. And I'm getting a doctor, for example, language training, those sorts of things. Are you confident that as the numbers go up, you can do that?
Well, we set the numbers with that absorptive capacity in mind. We can't bring more people into the country than the country is prepared to set up for success. We work with the settlement sector across Canada to understand on a community by community and a province by province.
Well, obviously, as I said, the link is in the description box. You can obviously have a hear by yourself and get a better understanding of what was shared. But I think this gives you a bit of a gist as to what exactly was being mentioned. There is no TR to PR coming back the way people thought it would be coming back. The components of the new program are already being laid out. They have already identified different things. The new tier system which will come, the Bill C19, which will allow immigration minister to make the changes. Yes, he said he's on a clock to sort of, come up with the new framework, not the new program, with the framework. Okay, sometimes you have to sort of point out these specific words that are being said. He's not saying I'm coming up with a program in 4 months. Okay, so stop watching those TikTok videos which tell you that a new program is coming in 4 months. The new program is not going to come in 4 months. A framework is being designed, a policy is being designed or developed, which will then indicate at a later point of time what changes the minister can make so that they can give a better or a more permanent pathway for temporary residents who are in Canada to become permanent resident. So this is what the new plan or the new program can be. Does this mean a death knell for all the people who are outside Canada? Well, it is going to become more and more and more difficult for people who are outside Canada, because what is going to happen is that you still need to keep certain things in your mind. You still need to keep these factors. You need to be aware that Canada is moving more towards giving better advantage or more advantage to people who are inside Canada. Everything is suggestive of that. Okay, you just heard him also speak the same thing, that they are looking to sort of, treat the essential workers and give them more opportunities as well. Earlier, essential workers were one of those categories which were largely ignored. So, for example, you have studied in Canada, you started working as a cashier, and then after that, you had no pathway. You simply had to return back to your home country after doing all that, right? So now they're trying to sort of create more pathways, or rather better ways of identifying that tomorrow, if he wants to hire construction workers in Ontario, he would still be able to do that. At this point of time, if you're outside Canada, you still have a chance. I'm not saying that it's completely going to go away. Federal Skilled Worker Program, at the end of the day, has been very, very instrumental in bringing lots of people to Canada. And I think they will continue with the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And these new draws, with the occupation-specific draws, they are not going to become the only draw that they will have. In my opinion, and again, I'm saying it's my opinion because it hasn't been published, nothing has been announced. There is no way to sort of say that this is where it is coming from. So in my opinion, I feel it is going to be something which will play together. There will be a generic draw. There will be a general draw where they will pick up the highest CRS scores, people who are ranking in the express entry. And at the same time, maybe the following week or the same time, they will also conduct additional draws for specific categories. So let's say, as he said, health workers in Nova Scotia, construction workers in Ontario, accountants and IT sector in British Columbia. They would be occupation-specific draws, and at the same time, they will be able to identify people inside Canada. So it may not be a specific generic CEC draws. I know a lot of you people who are waiting for CEC-specific draw. There is a very high possibility it will not be as completely all CECs will get invited at the same time. It's going to be more like if you're in British Columbia, you are under these categories, you have work experience in Canada under NOC A, B, C, D, E, F, you get invited. Okay, you are in Manitoba and your occupation is A, B, C, D, and this is your CRS score, you get invited. It might not be entire CEC getting a draw by the factor of their CRS score. It will probably be all program draws and then the occupation-specific draw. But this is something which we will all have to wait and see how we go. Will July start off with the occupation-specific draws? I don't think so. As I said, Bill C19 still has to be approved. It is still in the final stages. It hasn't really been approved yet at this point of time. It is moving very fast towards it. It hasn't gone there yet, but it is absolutely moving very quickly to that direction. And once it does get the royal assent, it still needs, immigration will still need to sort of make a lot of changes in the express entry system and also the ministerial instructions to sort of identify what they wish to do in terms of the categories. So initially, when we have the draws, which we are expecting in July, I expect that it will be all program draws to start with for a few draws for a few months until these changes will come into effect at some point of time. And from there on, your guess is as good as mine as to what categories, which occupations, what will be the CRS score, where will they pick up people from, who will they pick up, who will they not pick up. That is something which we all will have to wait and see. But those are exciting times ahead to sort of, figure out what exactly Canadian immigration is heading towards. That, my friends, was this week's Roundup that I wanted to discuss with you. I know there are several questions, and a lot of you are obviously, not holding on to your questions. You're just sort of sharing that anyways. Okay. A lot of people said the voice was echoing. I'm sorry, I couldn't really do anything about the echo because my voice is becoming an echo. Okay. Well, obviously, can't do much about it right now. I hope the voice is clear now. I will try and change that at a later point of time. Okay, let's see some questions before we move on to the other things. As per motion M44, they want people who are helping in labor shortage. What do you think? I think I went in quite detail to explain this and the new mandate letter pathway as well. I think we went in real details to sort of go into that. Could you please advise on selecting multiple or all province in express entry? Will it be more beneficial or only selecting Ontario only? No, you can select all provinces. There is no problem. Ontario will not be biased against you because you have chosen all provinces. As far as Ontario is concerned, they cannot see what choices you have made. If you have chosen all provinces, you will automatically appear in their list. For example, if you have chosen only Alberta, then when Ontario is checking the list of people who are interested in coming to their province, they will see only those people who have chosen all provinces and Ontario, or rather all provinces or Ontario. They will not be able to see people who have chosen Alberta. So the recommendation, the suggestion is always to choose all provinces, and that works very well. So you won't have any problem being invited by any specific province. Federal skilled worker, I already have an experience letter for 6 years. I don't wish to approach my manager. When I tweeted IRCC that they said all work history must be updated in express entry. Well, I'm not sure what you're exactly asking me here. You have to update your work experience in express entry. Show only that period of work in your work history for which you're claiming points, which you want to sort of get points for. Any other period of work you can show in your personal history after you've received your ITA. There is absolutely no problem with it. Do not hide any information. Obviously, disclose everything. If you're not claiming points for it, you don't want to show any documents for a specific period of work, show it in your personal activities, and you can obviously offer a brief explanation. Okay, I can see there are a lot of questions which are asking me for chances for a certain CRS score, certain knock code. I cannot give you that answer. We've already discussed that in details as to what it's going to look like. We've also done previous videos where we have spoken about this. Let me see if I can add that here. Just give me one moment, guys. Yeah. We also discussed about this, the pool distribution and what the scores are looking like. At this point of time, there are 215,316 people in the express entry pool as of the 6th of June. And just above 481, there are more than 19,000 people in the express entry pool. It's a pretty large number there. Obviously, we all know by now when the draws will resume, the scores are going to be upwards of 501. We are anticipating that the express entry draw size would be in the range of 3,500, give or take few, because I'm just taking an average of the pre-pandemic draws and saying about 3,500 would be the draw size. And based on that, it would take nearly three draws for the scores to fall below 4,500. And third draw, it will fall below 500, and that's when it will come to the 490s. There you have 4,000 people. So another two draws for it to go into the 480s. Then you have 7,500 over there. You're looking at another 4 draws from there on for the numbers to go below 480. Okay, so this has already been 4 and 3 and 3, nearly 10 draws before the scores can go down to under 480. So based on this, you can calculate yourself, and not to mention, we are expecting a lot of changes. So when do things start, making your way? Only time will tell. All right. Can my parents show their fixed deposit for their proof of funds for visitor visa? They don't have much balance in their savings account. Yes, absolutely yes. There is no problem with that. I am a mainland status. I am on maintained status after postgraduate work permit expired. Should I apply again for work permit extension under the public policy, or can I switch my current applications towards the policy? I think you should apply for the new work permit extension when it gets announced. But we have to wait to see what criteria is being announced, what requirements they are insisting upon. Unless that has been announced, it's very difficult to say, will you be able to move your old application to the new one, or you'll have to apply for a new one. We'll have to just wait till that new announcements are made. I had a full-time job during my studies in master's degree. Is that okay? I mean, will the officer accept this? Yes, there is no problem. As long as this job was outside Canada while you are also studying your master's program, there is no problem with it. We have seen this happening with so many people, countless people, and it's absolutely fine. There is no issue with that already. When will Saskatchewan province clear its backlog for PR category? Waiting quite long. Well, Saskatchewan is known to have a very long processing times. It's quite normal to sort of see them taking anywhere between 6 months to 1 year for processing their nomination applications. When can we expect CEC draws in July and postgraduate work permit extension updates? Well, IRCC was expected to announce the postgraduate work permit extensions this week. We haven't heard from them, so I'm hoping next week. As far as CEC draws are concerned, I don't expect CEC draws. In my opinion, it will be all program draws, and that would be early July, as has been indicated by Sean Fraser. So probably 6th of July is what I'm thinking it might be. Okay. When will Parliament sit for third reading and consideration of Bill C19? Well, it should happen next week, to be very honest. That's what I'm looking at. My passport renewal is still pending. It's been a while that I informed IRCC about my marriage status to be updated, yet did not hear of any forms. Now 2.5 months. Is this normal? Yes, it's absolutely normal. It can take anywhere between 4 to 6 months for the changes to be made in your application. Will PNP express entry processing times come back to 6 months? Yes, it is expected that they would come back to the standard processing times of all express entry applications, including PNP. Please let us know about PNP. I'm not sure what you're asking me about PNP, but if it has got anything to do with the changes in express entry, well, we do expect provinces will also be making changes once express entry starts making these changes. It's normal, right? Because in express entry, if you will start seeing NOC specific draws or occupation specific draws or category based draws, then provinces which historically have been managing their programs based on the occupations, based on different requirements. Like, for example, Ontario has a French speakers draw. They have occupation based draw. So if IRCC is doing the same thing, then Ontario will basically lose out on people that they wish to do. So I expect all the provinces who are now already thinking what changes are going to come. Obviously, they will have much more information and details available. So yes, I expect most of the provinces will be making subsequent changes once IRCC has finalized what they wish to do. And these changes obviously will make a big difference to a lot of people. So PNPs will always be available to people who will have less chance through express entry. And it's only a matter of time that we have to wait and see what exactly those changes will be. It could be different kind of NOCs. It could be different kind of work experience. It could be job offers. So some provinces may move more towards the job offers. It may move towards different kind of point system. All these are available options. Let's see what they apply. I applied for my parents' PR via permanent resident portal, medicals and biometrics already done. Where can I see the updates? None of the updates are shown in portal. Well, you can then basically use the ECAS system. Sometimes that can give you the information. You can apply for the GCMS notes. You can call IRCC and check for updates and see if they will give you that information. Apart from that, you will simply have to just wait and get the information once IRCC finalizes your application. Please talk about Atlantic Immigration Program. I'm not sure what is it that you want me to talk about. I mean, all the information is already available on their website. New pathway will be beneficial for all international students and temporary foreign workers, or will it be based on NOC specific by referring labor shortage? What is your opinion on this? I think we went in quite detail, Patel, about this. Does our salary need to be high to claim points under federal skilled worker? The thing is, in the third world countries, salaries tend to be very low in small towns, even for skilled jobs. Is low salary a problem? Good question. No, salaries is never a problem, no matter which part of the world you are from. So don't ever be worried about the fact of what your salary is in comparison to what your job is. There is absolutely no problem. I know of people who have got a salary of only 2,500 rupees per month, and that is not a problem as well, as long as you were paid. As long as you were receiving the salary, as long as your work experience was eligible, you had absolutely no issues in claiming those points for the work experience. Do you foresee any negative consequences aside from the fee to my future PR application if I extended my postgraduate work permit, even if the program extension is not yet launched? Well, you can certainly extend your postgraduate work permit if your current work permit is valid. You will go on an implied status. Because you are on a maintained status, you would then further be able to take advantage of any other new program that comes in. It will also allow you to work. I am sure whenever the new public policy is announced for the work permit extension, it will take into consideration people who are now out of status or whose status has to be restored. So they would also have that opportunity. However, they will not be allowed to work until their new work permit has been approved. In your case, if you apply for extension while your current work permit is still valid, you can continue working because you're on the maintained status. So you will have no problem there at all. Why are Oinp applications being delayed? Any reason, or are they working on something else? Well, I am not sure what you're referring to because I haven't seen any delays myself. Most of our clients have been receiving their nominations. Earlier, it used to be 2 months. Now they're going into 3 months, but 90 days was pretty expected standard processing time from Ontario as well. Submitted IMM 1017 during remedicals on Wednesday, but my physician did not fill it. Emailed CDC, got a reply. It's not important as e-medical have all. I'm not sure what you're trying to ask me, but once 1017 medicals have been completed, you do not get any document, or even if you do, it is not of any relevance to you. The panel doctor will automatically upload the medical results for that particular form directly to the IRCC portal. And once they do it, your application will be updated because that IMM 1017 already has the barcode and the IME number which is connected to your application. How can we identify that the top scoring candidate in the pools from 480 to 500 score are of CEC category or of FSW, and which category of draw should first happen to clear this top scoring lot? We cannot. That data is not available. Nobody knows how many candidates are CEC, how many candidates are FSW in the top scoring pool. So there is no way to establish that. And I expect it to be an all program draw. I do not expect it to be a program specific as in a CEC or a FSW specific. They will definitely never ever do an FSW specific draw. It will be an all program or a CEC specific or a PNP specific, but they have no motivation, no incentive, no reason to do only a federal skilled worker specific draw. So it will be an all program if they will, and in my opinion, it's going to be an all program draw. If one enters the pool a day before the draw takes place, will he or she be invited and his scores matches the draw? Yes, absolutely. They will be invited if you are in the pool at the time when the draw is held. Can we have any clue when the postgraduate work permit extensions are available for those whose work permits are getting expired? As I said, as per Sean Fraser, it was supposed to be by mid-June. We are already passing mid-June, so I'm hoping that they will announce this next week. Fingers crossed for that. I have renewed my passport. I was unable to upload a recent picture due to the passport office not allowing applicants to update them. Will IRCC post question on using old picture in the passport? No, IRCC will not have any problem with your old picture in the passport. What to do if I don't have anyone in Canada, meaning no permanent address to give while landing to dispatch my PR card? Well, then in that case, you can tell the border officer that you don't have an address and that you will update IRCC with the address once you have one. Therefore, once you come to Canada, once you've arrived in Canada, you found a permanent address. At that point of time, you can raise a web form or you can raise a change of address form that is available on the IRCC website, and you can inform them of your new address, at which point of time they will start processing of your PR card and send it to you. Alternatively, you can also rent a post box address from a UPS. So you can use a UPS mailing address as long as they give you a street address. So UPS offers this the post box address. They offer rentals on post box addresses. It cannot be a post box address. It has to be a street address, and UPS office should be able to give you that. You can rent that, and you can use that to get your PR card as well. Okay. It has been 60 days since my application. I haven't received anything. Should I be worried? No, you don't have to be worried. It is taking slightly longer than two months. It's taking about 2 to 3 months, between 2 and 3 months. So that's when you will get yours as well. Karthik, thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, there's no question there. I'm sorry about that. Should I apply for GCMS notes or wait for some more time? I have submitted ADR of PCC and schedule on 13th of April, still showing documents are uploaded. No, you don't need to do anything. You just need to have patience and wait for the processing to be completed. So there is a high chance of all applications getting cancelled. No, I did not say that. I said that in reference to certain application types. It has got nothing to do with Express Entry. Express Entry backlogs have already been cleared, almost cleared, and they're moving towards clearing as many as possible. So there is absolutely no way any application in Express Entry is getting cancelled. Yes, but that possibility exists within the temporary residence applications, the visit visa applications, and to some extent, some other categories of businesses. Definitely, I don't expect that in Express Entry. Can you share the link of the knock change memo on the chat? Datram, I'm not sure which knock change memo you are referring to, but if you go back to my previous video, I'm sure you can find the link on that particular video itself. I have got my PPR and a resubmission request due to damaged passport, which will go beyond 30 days. I've raised a web form. I hope this will be fine. Yes, absolutely fine. As long as you have informed IRCC why you're not submitting your passport in time, there is no problem with that. Can you please explain why IRCC isn't efficient as last year, especially with CEC? Well, for one, their priority has changed. Obviously, when they were handling only CEC applications, they had reassigned a lot of their resources from different visa offices to handle only CEC applications so that those could be processed faster. Now that the priority is no longer to meet the in-Canada immigration targets, because last year they had to meet the targets of 401,000 people. So they wanted to make sure all inside CEC candidates are processed fast. At this point of time, they do not have such priority or such a target anymore. They're already online to meet their immigration target for this year. So they have reassigned those people who they have brought back, or rather who were asked to do only CEC applications. They've all gone back to meeting, or rather addressing their own jobs or doing their own applications that they were supposed to. And therefore, you are seeing lesser or a slower processing of CEC applications. Will they be able to clear the first half of 2021 backlogs by the end of this year? I don't think they're following a very specific date time of processing. You're talking about first half of 2021 backlogs. There are also still 2018, 2019, 2020 waiting for their applications to be processed. As you can see, there is only now 30,000 applications, give or take few, which is in the backlog. So with the way they are being processed, I think they will get processed very soon. Definitely by the end of this year, for sure. Is EE going to be super limited from every perspective? Well, it's the matter of perspective, depending on which side of things you are at. Express Entry, even 2 years back, seemed very limiting to a lot of people who could not score 8,777. It still seems, right? So depending on where you are and what is your perspective, you could find Express Entry to be quite limiting. However, people have to always understand one thing. Express Entry was never made, or rather none of the immigration programs have been made for the benefit of the people. Okay, it's not for your benefit. These programs, these immigration programs have been designed for Canada's benefit. It is Canada who is looking at their benefit, at their priorities with all these immigration programs. So they will always be able to choose, and they will always be able to twist and turn and manipulate and make changes as they need, so that their priorities, so that their requirements are met. So you have to get that perspective right. Okay, I've submitted owner-operated closed work permit in August 2021. I'm waiting for PPR. When can I expect IRCC to reply? Well, I just heard from somebody yesterday that they have received their owner-operator work permit approved after 2 years. I'm not saying you will get it after 2 years, but the way IRCC is moving, expect at least 1 year processing time. Is quite normal, because that's what they've been doing with most work permit applications. When do you think PNP for entrepreneurs hiring can be announced? I don't think that is something which has to be announced. PNPs already have separate immigration programs for entrepreneurs. So take a look at that, and then probably you'll be able to find out what you're looking for there. I am EEBC PNP Outlander applicant. It's the 4th consecutive draw where the draw score is 123 and my score is 120. Is there any prediction for EEBC PNP scores to come down to 120? Well, as you can, I agree with you. The scores at 123 is extremely high. So unless you're getting a very good salary and you are in one of those areas which is not Vancouver general area, it's very difficult to get scores of 123 unless they increase the number of invitations or they sort of remove some of the categories they have been inviting quite actively. For example, under the scores of 60, I think the scores are going to remain high. But because between 123 and 120, there's only a 3-point difference, I think you can expect 120 to happen sometime soon. But at this point of time, there is no way to sort of speculate and say exactly when it will happen. Okay, today's exact, we just did this. Okay. Can I expect an ITA with CRS 475 by the end of year before Bill C19 is implemented? I can't tell you that at all. As I just explained earlier, you will need to go through the previous videos to see what the trends are looking like. And because we do not know when C19 would be, I know C19 will be approved, but when will those category-wise changes implemented? There is absolutely no way to speculate anything of those in those regards. I have a small business and want to open up a branch in Canada. Can I do so? You absolutely can do so. There is no problem at all. Birth certificate of spouse asked by IRCC for adding spouse in the application, but we don't have one. What documents can we give in place of birth certificate? First of all, what you should be giving is a not found certificate. So go back to your municipal department, ask to apply for a not found certificate. In addition to that, give copies of 10th certificate, 12th certificate, get a letter from a gazetted officer confirming your date of birth, and then give a brief letter of explanation to show that you were not able to get your birth certificate. I have renewed my passport, was unable to change the picture due to mismanagement in the passport office. Okay, all right. If the study permit extension is approved, then by when someone can extend TRV, and will it be required to go out and travel back to Canada? Once your study permit extension is approved, after you get the approval, then you can apply to extend your TRV. And yes, you will need a valid TRV to return back to Canada if you travel out. What would you think that the new fast track program where adjustment of those quotas would be seen? I don't know of any fast track program, and I do not know what you are referring to. I'm sorry. Okay. Can I have my FSW profile in the Express Entry pool when I apply for student visa at the same time? Will it cause my visa rejection? Yes, you can have your Express Entry profile in the pool. There's nothing wrong with it. Be prepared to express dual intent, because in your study permit application, you are saying you want to return back, but you also have an Express Entry profile. So why do you have an Express Entry profile if you want to be returning back? I haven't seen any cases where IRCC has refused the application simply because you had an Express Entry profile. I know so many people, so many clients whose Express Entry profile is in the pool, and we have gone ahead and applied for the application. We still haven't received any issues there. But yes, IRCC can always come back and question that for sure. I've got my job offer through the Francophone Mobility. How many days does it take for processing time to be in Canada? Well, please do check the processing times as per the country where you're applying from, and then look at it and see how much time they're taking. After landing in Canada, can we re-enter from USA by road border without PR card? Do we need to have a COPR valid at the time of re-entry? Do I need to go with PRTD option? Yes, you can re-enter Canada just using your COPR through the land border. There is no problem. You don't need your PR card, and you don't need a PRTD if you're coming through the land border. The validity of your COPR is irrelevant after you have already made your first landing. So forget about the validity of your COPR. You are already a permanent resident. That document confirms that you're a permanent resident. You can go in and out of the country by the land border. There is no problem. You can use the COPR. No issues with it at all. My score is 520. Agenda is to settle in Canada. Backlog is huge and therefore also preferring Ukrainians. And they are also preferring these situations. Shall I opt for an MBA program and later apply for PR or work permit or express entry? Well, it's entirely up to you if you wish to apply for work permit or but I would say just wait for the draws to resume. I think it's going to happen next month anyways. Give it a couple of months. I think with your score, you should be able to get through with the express entry itself. Medicals used to take 1 month post ITA to pass. Nowadays, taking more than 70 days. Why is this so? Because they have been holding back on the R10 because they want to get other applications processed. Once the R10 is processing, from there on, the application is getting processed quite fast. So that is one of the reasons why they're holding that back. Any idea on SUV processing and backlogs? How does IRCC process in a year? How many does? Well, the quota for SUV per year is only 1,000. Actually, it's not for SUV. It's for the federal business is 1,000 applications. In 1,000, actually not even applications, 1,000 people. And this federal business is shared between SUV, which is startup visa, and self-employed category. So the number of applications they will process per year for startup visa is quite less, probably in the range of 600-700 per year. Current backlog of federal business is approximately 5,000, little less than 5,000. So yeah, startup visa, you can expect anywhere between 3 to 4 years at this point of time to be taken. It's quite long, to be very honest. Karthik, I'm sorry, my friend, I don't see your question at all. So sorry about that. Okay. What documents can I ask from my company to get more points in express entry? Well, first of all, I'm not sure where your employer is, where your company is. But if your company is in Canada, then you can ask them to issue you an LMIA if you're not in Canada. If you get a job offer from your employer in Canada with the LMIA, you can get 50 points. If you're in Canada on an ICT work permit, you complete 1 year of period of working with the employer. And then your employer also gives you a job offer which says that your job is valid for 1 year after you become PR in Canada. Again, you can claim those 50 points from in your express entry. Karthik, I'm sorry, I can't see a question. Dhruv Patel, I'm sorry, I don't see your questions. Okay. Nomadic Knight, thank you for the super chat. Don't see the question there. I have a job offer from BC under NOC-B supervisors. Employer said they cannot sponsor me. I have to make my own arrangements, though they can provide job offer letter. Please guide me. How can I go about it, as I don't have any status in Canada? Well, you can create your profile on the British Columbia SIRS system, SIRS, and based on your score, you may receive an invitation from British Columbia. You'll have to check if they are inviting food services supervisor at this point of time. If not, then yeah, you can ask your employer to apply for an LMIA for you. Once you have an LMIA, you can come to Canada, you can start working in Canada on a work permit. And after a point of time, once you also have Canadian work experience, you can then apply under CEC, or you may be able to apply under NOC. You may be able to apply under EEBC or Express Entry BC, or even Skilled Worker BC, depending on the scores you might be able to get at that point of time. Since there are 19,000 above 480, if they draw 3.5 per draw with 10 draws, I think 35,000 people would be invited. So I guess you have a bit overestimated. Well, you're right about the 10 draws, and I might have been a bit overestimated, but you're also not considering the fact that these numbers are dynamic, means people keep getting added to the pool. It's not like once the draw happens and nobody comes back into the pool with those high scores. So the numbers are dynamic. Yeah, I may have said 10 draws may not look right. Maybe it is 8 draws. Maybe that is more workable. But keep in mind that more and more people are graduating. More and more people are completing their 1 year work experience. More and more people are getting their job offers. More and more people are coming to Canada and then being able to apply under different categories. So all those people who will become eligible will continue to keep getting added, or will keep improving the scores, and therefore that number is going to be, I don't know, between 8 or 10 draws, if you want to call it, for that score to hit below 480. And from there on, we don't know how many people are there at 480, 479, 478. So yeah, those numbers will always look a bit sticky there. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out. All right, last question before I leave. Maximum number of years of work experience for which points can be claimed in FSWEE. Maximum points for eligibility is 6 years of continuous work experience. Maximum points for CRS score is 3 years in Federal Skilled Worker Program Express Entry. Okay, Snow says, please answer my question. A job offer supported by LMIA can only be used in work permit or express entry or for both simultaneously. Well, there are two types of LMIAs. One is dual intent and one is only for permanent residents. If your LMIA supports only permanent residents, in that case, you can use it only for express entry or to get your 50 points. If your LMIA is dual intent, which basically means it also supports for dual purpose, then it also supports a work permit and your permanent residence. You can therefore use it for your work permit and then apply for your permanent residence as well. There you go. That's basically all I had for you for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I want to see those numbers going up. This is probably the only channel who is most credible in terms of and updated in terms of giving you the required information in terms of your Canadian immigration and your obviously the weekly dose as well. And yes, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's always nice to see more and more people gathering there. And also it's a fun place to be, right? Thank you so much for joining in today. I appreciate it. I shall see you next time. Stay safe. Take care.